Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos tardes, buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, viernes el 9 de septiembre. You guys had the present tense conjugations and key terms and concepts handout to submit for today. That is due by the end of today. Here's your only homework, and then your homework for next class is the present tense conjugation worksheet, which we'll go over together here in just a moment. Our daily objective is to practice listening comprehension and recognition of those present tense verb conjugations and the relationship they have with the subject pronouns yo, tú, él, ella, usted, etc. And your warm-up question for today, you can see the to-do list is here. ¿Qué te gusta hacer en tus ratos libres? You may recognize that question. It was one of the 5 questions you guys answered for your meet and greet activity, your autobiographical presentations. For today's warm-up, you guys are going to indicate 2 hobbies or activities that you enjoy doing your free time in the yo form. So for example, en mis ratos libres, in my free time, yo bailo y escribo poemas. You can see bailar and escribir both conjugated in the yo form. Here you have your endings in our key concepts. The present tense endings for AR, ER, and IR verbs. Then you guys are going to ask that same question. ¿Qué te gusta hacer en tus ratos libres? To 2 classmates, and for each one, jot down 1 hobby that they enjoy doing in their free time, but you're going to conjugate it in the él, ella form because you're talking about them, not talking about yourself in the yo form. So, for example, en sus ratos libres, sus meaning their or his or her free time, Maddie baila y escribe poemas. For all intents and purposes, I used the same example to demonstrate how the ending would change if your subject changes. In this case, you're talking about a classmate. That's your warm-up for today. We're going to go over the study guide for the Chapter 1 exam to kind of take inventory of where we're at and where we're headed. Continuing our work in Chapter 1, I'm going to go over page 9 of the textbook, practicing the present tense conjugations of regular verbs. We'll run back the o, as, a, amos, an song for old time's sake, and then we'll do some guided practice out of the textbook on page 9, exercise 14. Let's go ahead and look at that, and then let's go ahead and take a look at the conjugation worksheet for folks at home, making this up while they're absent, or for those of you that were here but just want to get more instruction on how to go about your work. So first and foremost, how to log on to the ETextbook. Now we're kind of opening up the book now. You guys may or may not have an actual textbook from the book reserve room. You're welcome to grab one if you want to have it at home, but you guys do not need to bring it with you to class. We have textbooks in class that you can use, and you can also access the textbook online, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So if you try the Realidades ETextbook link here, I know it's super frustrating, but for some reason it doesn't work. I have no idea why. I have no idea how to remove that tab from my resources. So what you need to do instead is you need to type in Savas. Savas is the name of the platform that the textbook uses, or the publisher uses. S-A-V as in Victor, V as in Victor, A-S. And you'll see it's the first resource that pops up there. You're going to go ahead and click on that. And if you're going through your Clever account, it should take you directly to probably not a page that looks like this, but a page that looks like this. And for you, you should have, I've given all of you resources to all, or access to all 4 levels of Spanish. Obviously, you only need to use level 2, but for those of you that are looking at taking a 3rd or 4th year, maybe you want to check out what year 3 and year 4 might look like, or run back year 1 if you need to. Many of you indicated last year not being the most ideal, so I've given you access to all 4. You should have access to all 4. I'm not going to assign you anything in the platform. Everything will be continued to be done through Canvas, but it's just a nice additional resource, especially if you're looking for some additional practice, or quite simply you just want to access all the content online rather than sifting through the physical textbook. So you're going to click on World Languages Realidades Dos, and that's going to take you here. It might be a little bit different because I'm in teacher view. Might be similar in terms of the table of contents, but you can click on the book icon here. You don't need a dictionary. You probably, I would assume, don't have access to the teacher version. You just want the regular Realidades Level 2. And that'll open up the ETextbook. Might take a few clicks to get there. Don't think you can do this on your phone. This is going to have to be on a laptop, although if you can do it on your phone, I'd be curious to know if that's successful. So you have your table of contents here, and you can kind of go where it is you need to go. I'm looking for page 9 because that's what's outlined in here in calendar. We're going to take a look at exercise 14. So if you want to run back that process, you guys can go back in the video. But basically what we did is we went to Clever, we typed in Savas, 2 V's, clicked on that icon, and then that took you to here, or an equivalent of that, to get to the Realidades 2 textbook. All right, so now that we're here, zoom out a little bit. And these are essentially the notes that we took together in the PowerPoint from 2 weeks ago when I came back from my COVID vacation, if you will. I don't want to belittle COVID. I don't mean COVID vacation. COVID leave of absence. There you go. That's a good way to put it. So the PowerPoint that we went over that goes along with page 9 of the textbook can be found in the Para Empezar module. It's the 5th or 6th page down there. It says Gramática Repaso, present tense of regular verbs. And then you can see there page 9 is indicated. The PowerPoint we went through together is here. So you should have notes on this already from the PowerPoint. So no need to take these down again. We're just referring to what we already have, right? It's conjugate verbs to form the present tense of regular verbs. We start with the infinitive, right? Like hablar, comer, vivir. Start with the infinitive, you drop the ending, which again is the last 2 letters, AR, ER, or IR, and then you're left with what's called the stem, and you add to that stem your endings for AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. The endings are similar, but we already acknowledged the differences between them. That to go from AR to ER endings, you just switch out the A for an E, whereas ER and IR endings are essentially the same with the exception of the nosotros form. Imos instead of hemos. So we're going to knock out exercise 14 together. Zoom back in. And this is to be done in your notebooks for practice. A Claudia le gusta pasar tiempo con sus amigos. Lee la descripción y completa su historia con la forma apropiada de cada verbo. Claudia likes to kick it, to spend time with her friends, read the description, and complete her history with the appropriate form of each verb. We got cognates galore here, y'all. You can make heads or tails of what these instructions are asking you. They're asking you to what? Conjugate, right? Put the correct form or appropriate form of the verbs provided in parentheses. Now we're going to do this together, but I want to do the first 3 so you kind of get an idea. Me gusta pasar tiempo con mis amigos los fines de semana. Los viernes generalmente vamos al cine. Nosotros vivir. So I want the verb vivir in the nosotros form, and it's actually provided here in our example conjugation chart. That would be vivimos. Again, start with the infinitive, remove the ending, the last two letters, and then you're left with the stem, and you add to the stem the present tense ending that matches the subject. That's conjugating, right? That's what we're doing here in exercise 14. To put it all together, to say who's doing the action in the sentence. Nosotros vivimos, V-I-V-I-M-O-S, cerca de un cine donde dan muchas películas. Por lo general, los sábados por la mañana, yo, and then our verb is correr. It's an ER verb, so I'm going to look at our example endings here. That would be O. Yo corro, C-O-R-R-O, por una hora y luego blank en bicicleta. We got the verb montar here. Now you're probably pausing because you're like, well, for number one, it's pretty clear, right? In the nosotros form. Got it. Number two, pretty clear. Got to do correr in the yo form. But what do I do for three? Luego means later. That's not a subject. If you're not provided with a subject, like for number three, you can assume it's the same subject from earlier on in the sentence. So number three is also going to be in the yo form, again, because we're not provided any other subject before it. So we're going to do montar in the yo form, and that would be monto, using the AR endings here at the top of page 9. Yo monto in bicicleta. So you can knock out 4, 5, and 6. And this is a glossary of common high frequency verbs that you undoubtedly recognize from last year from Spanish 1, that you like to do in your free time for leisure activities. We talked about a lot of these already thus far this year. So that's exercise 14. And then the last thing we're going to knock out is your present tense conjugation worksheet. Pretty straightforward. Just like exercise 14, you're going to conjugate the verb that's provided in parentheses according to the subject at the very beginning. All of these are going to be super easy, except for examples like 2, 3, 9, where you don't have a subject pronoun, and therefore maybe you're a little bit unsure of what form you should use. Check it out. If the subject is singular, like el profesor is just the teacher, one person, right? For singular subjects that we're talking about, right, not two, you guys are going to use the el, ella, usted form, right? So this would be el profesor habla. He, right? That would be the subject pronoun that we would put in place of that noun. Pronouns take the place of nouns. So yeah, this would be the el, ella, usted form because it's a singular subject. Number 3 is actually pretty straightforward. Let's do number 9. Pamela y Eduardo is a plural subject, obviously, because we're talking about two people. So you're going to use the ellos, ellas, ustedes form for that one. Right? Two people. They. Ellos. Pamela y Eduardo viajan. V-I-A-J-A-N. Viajar is to travel. So part A is AR verbs only. Part B is a mix of AR, ER, and IR verbs. All of them are regular, meaning that you just drop the ending and add the present tense conjugation at the very end. Just be mindful, AR, ER, and IR verbs have different present tense endings. That's what got some of y'all in trouble with your bingo assignment, or even the most recent assignment that you guys did for today. The key concepts worksheet here, key terms and concepts. Basically, it's page 9, right? It's basically this chart and this definition for how you would fill out this worksheet, right? All there on page 9. So some of y'all mixed up AR, ER, and IR endings, and that's why your score may have been affected accordingly. So that worksheet, the one I just shared with you before, this bad boy right here, that's due by next class, and that's your only homework, y'all. Have a great weekend.